What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to go over the several different mandrels that I've used, as well as we'll take it to the indicator and see how each does as far as run out, give you my opinions on all of them, and we will go from there. Okay, first up, I believe this is an Artisan Chuck. Ultimately, it's got comes with these little, I don't know what they are, little pieces, and it just centers the ring. You screw this on, and it centers any size of ring. They do have also these other sizes for different size rings, so that you don't have this deep. You can use this for smaller rings, and right now we're on the biggest size. Now here's one thing that I don't really enjoy about this one is when I'm working on a ring, I can't get my tool in there. It's too small of a gap to work with, and so that's one huge problem that I find with this. I know that I could swap out to these smaller ones and have a little bit more room, but even then, I mean, if it brings the ring out a little bit, I'm still possibly scraping on that in order to get to the ring. It just makes it so difficult. I don't think there's a lot of room. The idea is really good. The fact that it screws on to your lathe is really great. Just the working space, it's not work for me. The tailstock does come up to it, which is really good. Helps with run out for sure. And then you have that one very solid piece that you're working with. So let's get the indicator going, and we will see what the run out is on this mandrel. All right, we got it zeroed out. Now it is important that I start with the fact that this is a super cheap indicator, and I am not a professional using this. This is just a small at-home test just to see what mandrel we can find has the most run out, if it even matters at all. So we're zeroed out here at the low end. So we move it here forward. Looks like the high point is around 16. Yeah, about 16. Looks like the high point is around 0.16 millimeters. Okay, it's not bad. And that's, again, with our tailstock on there with the ring. And so we will take this exact same ring and we'll go on to the next mandrel and see if any of them can beat this 16 points right there. So next up, we just have this expanding mandrel, one that almost everybody knows about or is using. One thing I didn't know when I first got into rings is that, well, here's the deal. So when I first started making rings, I didn't know anything about lathes or rings. I just got this, expecting it to fit in there. Now, obviously, that's super silly knowing what I know now. But if you're just barely getting started, you're gonna need this. And then you're also gonna need something. You don't need this specifically. You could use jaws that open and close like that, and to close or hold this 1/2-inch chuck. But you need a Morse taper collet chuck that you can throw in there. It goes down to a 1/2 inch, and then you take the mandrel, stick it in there, and then tighten that up. All right, so yeah, everybody knows these mandrels almost. I use this type of mandrels almost every single day. They're super easy to work around. They hold the ring really well. You can easily tighten, over tighten, and snap tungsten or ceramic if you're not very careful with it. But I think that everyone should get a pair similar to this sort of expanding ring mandrel. Even if you have the Artisan Chuck I just talked about, I would still have this set with an Artisan Chuck if you can. And so we'll tighten this up. I'll get the indicator zeroed out and we will see how this runs. All right, so I've got it zeroed out. Again, this is exactly how you would use it in any scenario. No tailstock. So we'll just spin that slowly. Looks like we hit up to 14. It also is not going back to 0. I'm going to say around 13 to 14 because it is, again, cheap indicator, right? So we are, if we zero it out at the low point, okay, zeroed out at the low point, 12, 13, yeah, between 13 and 14. That actually is surprising that it is running out less than the Artisan Chuck. That could be a couple things. My lathe could be running off on the threads. I would be surprised. This is a fairly new jet lathe. It is possible, though. One thing that you also can do with these type of mandrels that I do as well, you can throw the tailstock. You could throw the tailstock against here to give it a little bit more stability. If you're working on rings that are out here, usually around this last half, you get a lot of chatter. If you bring the tailstock in, it will help reduce that chatter. I will have to move the indicator and we can test how off it is moving the tailstock, if it changes at all or if it just helps chatter. Okay, so we moved the tailstock in. This is not meant to run with a tailstock, but let's see how it does now with it in. Yeah, look at that. We're only getting up to 10 now. So it dropped at about 3 to 4 points. So that's how I use these. I always bring up the tailstock if I can. I would recommend trying that out. So next we will throw on another mandrel. Okay, even before testing this, I also use this mandrel every day. It is most likely going to be the most accurate with the centering tool, the 1/2-inch shaft used with the tailstock. And compared to the Artisan Chuck, right, this one, we have a lot more working area. No matter what room you have, the angle that these jaws are at, I don't know if they're called jaws, you can get in there with almost any tool to work on whatever you need. The only thing that I will not ever use these for is sanding. I never sand on this chuck or this mandrel because I will sand away the teeth on this the way I sand. If you ever see me sand, I usually do use pretty much a whole sheet to make sure that I leave no glue on the edges of the ring. Yeah, so let's spin this. I can promise this is probably going to be the best. It also has the highest price point, so. It's not completely zeroed out. Cheap indicator, what do you expect? All right, going up. Honestly, we're hitting about 6 points up. Yeah, 6 points, which is nearly half of just the regular expanding mandrel that we just tested with the tailstock. Without the tailstock, it is more than half. So, all right, next up, we have our 3D printed carbon fiber mandrels. Same exact setup with your 1/2-inch collet chuck. So we will set this up. Again, exact same talking points as the other metal expanding mandrels. The reason I would say you would want to buy these instead is if you go for a set of metal mandrels, with the collet chuck, you're in probably $120 at the minimum. the reason we started selling these carbon fiber nylon ones is because they work really well for the price, right? They're $25 for a set of 2. They're very strong, very durable, and so it's a good entry tool if you are thinking about making rings without spending a fortune. So that's what I'm going for. If you have the money, I say buy the metal mandrels. Like, the metal mandrels are really good. They're gonna do the job. If you want to spend the money, spend the money. If you want to know if you even like rings first, get the carbon fiber nylon mandrels from our website. 25 bucks just to test out, see if you like making rings. They also will last, and then also comparable to metal is this carbon fiber nylon. You can dip in acetone, so if you get glue all over it, it's not going to react like any other normal plastic. You can dip it in acetone to clean it all off. So I'm going to go ahead and set the indicator up on our mandrels and see what we're at. All right, we got the indicator set up. We got it zeroed out. Let's see how it does. Hitting 12 to 13 points. Back down to 0. We're not going below 0, so it looks like 12 to 13 is the max on there. Yeah, there's 12 to 13. That's pretty dang good for the carbon fiber nylon. So that was in the realm of the metal one before we added the tailstock. And I'll have to watch the video again, but compared to the Artisan Chuck that screws on, it was better than that. I want to say that we were hitting 15 or 16. This is all live, so I don't remember, but I believe it was either higher or more. So that's not bad. The reason, again, that we'd use these, right? So whether carbon fiber nylon or metal in this style is so you can work around the ring. You can get everywhere, sides with your tools. You can get sanding all over the place. You can shape all around here. So that's why I would use these ones. And again, you can put a whole sheet of sandpaper on your ring to clean it up. So I use this style, and I use this style mostly. Actually, all the time. I use these two styles every single day. This style, because it does spin very true. I use it on my metal lathe to cut out channels and other things that I need to be very precise. It also centers it and it gives me enough working space. I use this style always on the wood lathe, again, for sanding and working in the ring. This style I've set away. It's too hard to work with. It doesn't spin very well, and maybe I have a fluke. It seems always way off, and it's just super hard to work around. So I've tossed this in the bag. I do not try that anymore. Okay, so there you have it, guys. That was just my honest opinions on all the mandrels. And they perform by how much they cost, right? Like, this one is $70. My least favorite. I never use. It goes away. This one, I believe $45 to $50 for one of them. I use it all the time because it is metal, and I bought them, right? Same style. This is the same style though. If you didn't want to afford the metal, I would use these ones. This one works really well on the metal, on the wood lathe, if you're working with wood. And then this one is really good for the metal lathe. And I also use this one. That one costs around $270 though, so it is significantly more. But you saw it did outperformed all of them, and then these two performed the same. So if you have any questions, just comment below. Let's talk about it. I'm happy to give you more of my opinion. I hope that was helpful, and we'll see y'all next time.